Hi, I'm Delit, and I want to share my love of cross stitch with you today. I have the magazine Cross Stitch and Needlework. This magazine is published by Bayview Publishing and is the one that I was introduced to. The first time that I saw cross stitch and needlework was this later version of cross stitch and needlework. This magazine is now out of print. So unfortunately you can't subscribe to it now or go out to the store and buy an issue. So we're going to look at two issues of the Bayview Publishing version of Cross Stitch and Needlework. This is from September 2006. And then I also have one from May 2011 that we're going to look at. And I have already shown you the first version of Cross Stitch and Needlework, which was the Better Homes and Gardens publication, Cross Stitch and Needlework, which that was done in the 90s, late 90s anyway. And that came from the magazine Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, which started back in the summer of 1985. And so this magazine was around for a long time, but I am still sad that it is no longer being published because it was a really good magazine. Like this says, Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, it started out having cross stitch primarily and including some country craft projects and techniques. When it became a Better Homes and Garden magazine in the 90s, it changed to Cross Stitch and Needlework so that it didn't include certain kinds of crafts anymore and stuck more to just needlework. So you have crochet or you have needlepoint or quilting or things like that that are needlework. And then Bayview Publishing bought the magazine and it remained cross stitch and needlework and is in many ways similar to the Better Homes and Gardens version. So we'll just look at this version first. This issue, September 2006. It's September, but we have a Christmas stocking because you need a little time to stitch your Christmas stocking. What a beautiful way to finish off the Christmas stocking with this beautiful decorative cord. I love this design. It's called a collector's, their collector stocking. So I think I'd have to look. I don't remember if they had a Christmas stocking every year that you could stitch in their magazine. You'll notice from the old Better Homes and Gardens issue I showed you, they had two different Christmas stockings. So I've never cross-stitched a Christmas stocking, and I have so many patterns for it that I would love to stitch. So I would love to do that. I started embroidering a Christmas stocking, and I've gotten frustrated and stopped. But I probably would finish that before I cross-stitched one. Although there's no reason you have to finish the project you started before you make a different one. It's a rule some people live by, but not me. So we'll go ahead and look inside the magazine. I'm not going to show you the whole magazine. There's a lot to look at in these magazines. I'm actually just going to show you a few things about the magazine that are not designs, as well as a few designs. So here we have our table of contents. trying to keep the magazine pristine. I have not stitched anything out of it, or it probably wouldn't be in quite such good shape, but it has a few pictures, but this picture has several projects in it. So they really are picturing a lot of the projects they have. Classic cross stitch. This is ribbon embroidery, or is that the needlepoint? That might be the needlepoint. Or it could be a cross stitch version of the needlepoint design. And then these are just cross stitch, but Halloween projects. So let's just look at those a little closer. They also have an editor's note, which is a letter from the editor, right here. And we have some pictures in here. And also a view of projects in the following issue. And then they have a section that now at this point looks more like a British magazine than in the earlier versions of Cross Stitch and Needlework, where they did sometimes have letters to the editor and they had a product. They were always pretty good at having product section, but it's kind of, it reminds me of the way the British magazines do it because of them taking the time to kind of like write about the products and tell you, well, this is why you need this. This is why you should buy it. These, I don't know that I need these, but I look at that and I feel like I need that. I mean, it's been almost 20 years and I haven't gotten it, but that's more a matter of, it's $40. And I just have never spent that much money on something, but it's really, I love it. And I'm thinking now, that's something I should invest in. It's a great sewing basket. If you love embroidery, you might feel like you need the Pansies book. I love embroidery, but I don't know that I need that particular book. And then this was punch needle. Some of you might do punch needle, and there's a punch needle design in one of these magazines that I will take the time to show you. Even if you're just curious what that is, you've heard of it, but don't know what it is. This is a tape measure. I definitely don't feel like I need the bee tape measure, but maybe you collect bees and you saw that and you thought, oh, I need a bee tape measure. So they also, I forgot to show you, the Lugana metallic fabric at the bottom. Probably still kind of hard to see. But they go in and they describe it, you know, like Zweigert, or however you say that, offers stitchers a new way to add some shimmer to their stitching. The overdyed 32-count Lugana metallic fabrics are presented in a high-quality even weave with added shine. Rainbow Sparkle is one color offered, and it's around $19 for 18-inch by 27-inch cuts. Well, that's nice. That's nice and long. Without needlework shops that you can go to, you might have to get online to order a special cut of fabric. I was looking in my cross-stitch book last night at a project I've wanted to stitch since I bought the book and haven't because it needs to be so long and it's hard to find fabric that long in any cut. And so that's probably what I would have to do. I'd have to get serious. And I have gotten serious about various projects and have specialty cuts of fabric, and they are stashed away to stitch the project still. Hopefully, for the most part, I think I can remember which project I should stitch them with. I am not like the other ladies that have cross stitch videos that can spend an hour and they go through 40 uh, different specialty cuts of fabric. Might get a little hard if I had 40, but probably less than 10, maybe less than 5, or around 5. Then they have their letters to the editor, and this is also more like a British magazine because it takes up a whole page, and the British magazines devote a nice big section to their letters to the editor, which is really nice. And then people send in pictures of things they've stitched or something else that relates to the letter that just makes it a really nice, enjoyable thing to read. So they've done that here with some stitched projects that people have made. I love the classic one you're going to see here. This is really cute. It's an unusual idea to hang your quilts out in the wintertime in the snow. But, and that many would certainly make your trees kind of bend to the middle, but it's pretty. So it doesn't really matter too much. And then this is kind of more artsy, and I like that. I thought that the little bunny cross stitch was just adorable. Um, this is my favorite design in this issue. It's called All Jazzed Up. This is a beautiful hardanger design that's been stitched in a variegated floss. It's a purse or some sort of bag that you can carry. And I hadn't realized that in all these years, nearly 20, that I should have a hardanger bag or purse to carry around. But when I was looking at this before showing you this video, I thought, but I do. I don't know how long it would take me to make it since I've never stitched hardanger before, but I just love that. So then they give you the instructions on how to make it. I think once you've figured out how to stitch hardanger, sewing might seem a little less intimidating, but having it turn out nice as a purse would be a big deal. So one of the nice things about the magazine is full color charts, and then they also give you these little stitch diagrams for how to do stitches you don't know how to do, like the stitches you need for hardanger. So that's up here. That's the pattern, so I'm not showing you that, but these are these are just some stitches they want to show you how to do. So if you have stitched hardanger, then you know how to do all those stitches. And you should make a video, and I can watch it. So here are some designs. Remember, this is the September issue. This is to get ready for Halloween. You can, maybe if you're a fast stitcher, have it ready for the Halloween when the magazine came out. If you're not, maybe you get it ready for the next year or give it to someone. Um, and I'm going to show you all the pictures in just a second. Um, you'll notice here there's a Mary Engelbright design. Mary Engelbright designs, she does her artwork and someone else designs the cross stitch, which is true for a lot of the designs that I show you where I say it's painted first. Sometimes they design their own cross stitch after they paint it, but a lot of times someone else turns their artwork into a cross stitch design. So here we have 3 different pictures, a Halloween stocking and a couple of coasters, plus this little ribbon that you can stitch to go around a basket to decorate for Halloween. Some people get more into Halloween decorating than they do any other holiday. So this would be really welcome for them to receive a gift like this or to cross stitch these things. I haven't done it yet, but I love Halloween. I love fall, and I love these little designs they have here. So they have couple of nice framed pictures. They made one into a pillow. Just really cute ideas for Halloween decorating. And I love, there's only a few things I wouldn't make. I forgot to point out to you the little pins they have down here. They've done those with beads. If I were going to make one of these, I would probably make this one first. I really liked the ghost and the pumpkins, the fall scene. But this ghost here is really, I love it. And I think the witch is really cute. I don't know that I would make the Halloween stocking, but I love the idea of bringing Christmas through more of the year and having a stocking for Halloween. It's decorative, and then you could also still put some yummy treats in it. But we get to look at the designs closer. They have better pictures of all of them. I'm only going to show you the ones that I like best up close. But so the little pins, that's your beading project. So even though I probably wouldn't bead these pins, I'm going to show it to you because I didn't show it to you as well in the other picture. I think if I were the kind of person who wore pins, I might be more likely to make a beaded pin, but I don't. I never have been. Um, they do have some nice little tips besides telling you how to make the design. Let's see, I need to cover up the pattern. They have a nice little tip down here for keeping your rows of beads even. And if you already bead, you may already know. It may not be that hard to do. I haven't tried it, so I couldn't say. I like the little helpful tips that they include in the magazine. Here is my favorite Halloween design that they have in the magazine. It's really just precious. The tree, the pumpkins, the fence, everything. And the idea of a ghostie's garden. A garden that maybe is only tended by a ghost, which might easily be on mine. I also thought that the pillow was really cute. And this is mainly a cross-stitched project. You've got a button or charm and some back stitching, but it's not a complicated design other than you're stitching it on black fabric. That might make it a little bit hard. Then they have their designer profile is Mary Engelbright. So we'll look at our picture. This is her her delightful little witch. And that's just a classic Mary Engelbright look. Really cute. Um, she has a nice little saying over here. So this is the article about Mary Engelbright. And this is someone whose artwork I have seen around a lot, and I think it's really pretty. So Mary Engelbreit is not a highbrow artist. She's kind of more of your um, common person sort of artist that they buy a lot of her stuff a lot because they like it. Um, Not a bad way to go. Just a nice close up of the witch. Also a pretty easy design to stitch. It does have some back stitching in there, but it's not too bad. And then they have a motif library, which I'm not going to show you because it's all just the chart, but it has like things you would stitch to do with school. So an old little red schoolhouse. So not too big, like a small little motif, pencil, apple, school bus, things like that. That's a handy thing. That's another thing that reminds me of a British magazine. You find it in the American magazines sometimes, even back in the 80s, but you always find it in the British magazines. It seems like, I think. This is a sampler that's a replica of an antique sampler. So I'll show you, this is the pattern in the magazine, and then I'll show you the antique. Really pretty, and here is the antique. I love that it's monochromatic. You don't have to stitch it that way, but I like that about it. Here is our stocking design again. We're just going to look at this picture. It might be a better quality. Just an adorable Santa Claus stocking coming down the chimney. I love the instructions they give on how to finish a Christmas stocking. We'll have a look at that. The diagrams are useful, but it's also useful to have an explanation of the diagrams. They have some needlepoint projects that they included, and if you are familiar with needlepoint designs, then you know they're easily translated into cross stitch by just using your cross stitch instead of a needlepoint stitch. I'm going to skip showing you that project, but it is one where they just have part of the design in the magazine and in this issue, and then in another issue, another part and another part. Throughout the year, you get the whole design. People refer to them as SALs. I've noticed on the YouTube videos, they call them sales. The first time I heard that, a British lady was saying it, and I thought, what is that lady saying? It took me watching the video a second time to finally realize she was talking about a stitch along product. But anyway, so they have something called Needlepoint Pro, and this is really nice. This is a needlepoint project book where you can keep notes about your project. So just because it has the website on here, the magazine's not in print anymore. I don't think that's a website you can go to. I don't know that it would be cross stitch and needlework. I still had my receipt from when I bought this magazine in the magazine. I only paid $3.50 for it because I got it for almost half off, not quite. They have a ribbon work box, but anyhow, it's made with ribbons. And then a needlepoint top, but you can do that as cross stitch, which we're not going to look at. They're just daisy designs. We are going to look at Brilliant Berries, a pincushion. Berries, I thought. They look like flowers, but they're berries. The bottom of the berry. Oops. Sorry. Hopefully I won't get in trouble for that. That's pretty much it. They have sections where they advertise. They have like advertisements for kits that you can order, like from Hirschner's. Beautiful. Or books. That's the needlepoint book they have. Shop finders. Certain shops in different states advertised in the magazine. They have an article at the back of the magazine that I just thought I would point out called Frantics. This Fran Ortmeyer is a lady that writes from kind of a comic perspective about different kinds of craft things. The cartoon is cute, in case you hadn't noticed it. She had some quotes from a book called At Knit's End, Knits, Meditations for Women Who Knit Too Much. I don't knit. But she had some really cute things like you can feel your heart stall for a second when you see a moth. That reminded me of moving back to this house after being gone for 2 years and opening up a box of all of my beautiful cross-stitch projects and a moth flying out. All the years I'd lived in Utah, never had trouble with moths. I do have a good friend, though, who said that it got in and destroyed some fabric that was really precious to her and couldn't really be replaced in any way. So I guess I got away lucky. I saw the moth, but when I checked my projects, they were okay. But yeah, makes your heart stop a little bit. So that is the 2006, September 2006 issue of Cross Stitch and Needlework that was done by Bayview Publishing. This is still Bayview Publishing, Cross Stitch and Needlework. This is May 2000, no, not May, not with Clovers, March 2011. We'll look at the cover design. That's my old address. This is the subscription issue that I had. Wonderful people who decide to give me a gift subscription to a magazine that I love. I am going to start at the back with the Fran Ortmeyer article. Cute picture. Because I didn't mention with the other issue of the magazine that when I was trying to figure out which magazines were part of the series that went from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts all the way through Cross Stitch and Needlework, this kind of distracted me a little bit because Fran Ortmeyer, this Frantics article that she does, was in the old Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. It's in the Cross Stitch and Needlework, but it was also in a magazine called Stitcher's World. And I'm trying to remember if it was in the Stitchery. Stitcher's World and the Stitchery were published by Stitch World. So I decided to not include them, even though when you look at the names of people involved in the magazines and addresses and things, it makes you wonder how connected the different magazines were, but we'll treat those separate. And just look at Cross Stitch and Needlework as the final version of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. So anyhow, that's her articles are funny and entertaining. I enjoy reading them. Here is our table of contents. And when I look at the pictures here that tell you about the projects inside, I get excited because I really love the traditional look of these two pictures. And I also I really like this. The cover design is really cute, not difficult to stitch at all, using variegated threads. Hoping you can see that those are variegated floss colors that have a really neat effect. So you have your editor's note, and then here you have your fabulous finds, like the basket in the other issue. This has some nice things that people might like highlighters tape that you can put on your pattern. It says it's removable, so it keeps your charts in perfect condition and comes in different colors, so you can use it for different kinds of reasons, I guess. They have their letters section with pictures of things that people have stitched. So the first thing they show you is the cover design, which again, you have your banner, you have a breadcloth, and then they've even stitched napkins here. I wanted to make sure you got a kind of a slow close-up on the design. It's really cute. And then they tell you how to finish each of the projects. They have a motif library again. This is Mardi Gras. I don't find that as useful for my purposes. I don't celebrate Mardi Gras or have a reason or know anybody who does or have a reason to stitch it. But they did have a fleur-de-lis design, which was really cute. Here's the punch needle that I talked about there being a punch needle design. And they talk about buying punch needle fabric. And they give you all the instructions you need to be able to finish it off completely. It has ease of stitching too, which is one of the easiest levels, one being the easiest. So I suppose if you were going to start with a project, that one might be a good one to start with. I'm not interested in punch needle. They've had them in magazines for a while now, and I've seen the kits in the stores and just hasn't piqued my interest at all. But if you have tried punch needle, I'd love to hear about it in the comments and see why you like it or why you don't like it, either way. Here is a blue patchwork pillow. This is one of my favorite designs in this issue. This is a pretty easy design to stitch. You can see from the ease of stitching level, which I love that they have it right up at the top, easy to see. So that if I bought this magazine and was going to give it as a gift and buy the person the materials and got someone in the shop to help me, it would be easy to pick out based on what they had told me or what I knew about the person, which project to buy materials for. Like, oh, she might like this, but it's too hard for her, or maybe it's too easy. Although I don't mind easy projects. I think a lot of stitchers, even though they like challenging projects, also like to have the one they don't have to think too hard about, just to have a varying interest, the different kinds, levels of difficulty. I'm going to show you this project because it's part of a collector's series, which they do, where they, in one issue, have a pattern, and then in another issue have a pattern that coordinates with it. Like you could hang them next to each other and they kind of match, or they fit like a theme. There's a lot of things that I like about this. The lack of face is not one of them, but it's kind of a traditional cross stitch thing to do. I love the colors and I love the soft, easy feel of it. Also, not a complicated thing to stitch. This would be really relaxing and easy to stitch. Then you have your designer profile, which is a woman named Karen Kluba of Rosewood Manor. Rosewood Manor has some beautiful designs. I don't think I own any of them. But here we'll have a look at some of her work. My mother loves watching cross-stitch videos. That's how I got started doing this. I found myself watching hours of cross-stitch videos when my mother would have them on, and noticing that there were a lot of you who stitch designs like this, which is something that I really like, even though I haven't done it. It appeals to me, and so I'm very interested and enjoy watching your videos where you show all your projects that you've started or completed. It's amazing to me how many you've done, how many you've bought and kitted out, as you say, which I thought at first people who kitted things out were selling kits. But now I realize that just means you bought all of the materials you needed to stitch the project. Here's more of the article. And we'll take a closer look at the design. I love I love the type of design, all the different trees. I love trees, so I really enjoy that. She had the smaller designs as well, the scissors, fob, pin cushions, needle case. And some of you might have actually made some of these cute little projects. And this is the design in this magazine by Karen Kluba from Rosewood Manor. I am not familiar with the verse in the middle, or I don't know if it's from a song or just a poem, but it's beautiful. You could include this, or you could use this to commemorate something else, use it as a different kind of a sampler. Beautiful, beautiful flowers. I like it overall, but I would be convinced just by this flower. It might be harder to tell from watching this on YouTube than looking at the magazine, but it's just beautiful thread colors. It has a beautiful look to it, very delicate. They have a project tip, which I'm going to show you. Just need to cover this pattern up here. I always enjoy the little tips that they have in these magazines. We're going to skip projects, even though I do like them. For the sake of time. But we're not going to skip this one, which is no cross stitch, just embroidery. But it's beautiful, isn't it? I love these little hearts and also the effect of the lace. I guess you could finish it like a heart like that. To hang, they've hung this on like a bulletin board. But you could also put it in a frame and hang it up. Maybe make it a pin cushion. Over here where they have the pattern, they show you the stitch that you're doing, which is called Rhodes Heart, and some of the floss colors, I guess. And if you haven't tried embroidery, they're telling you it's not a difficult project. It's ease of stitching too, so go ahead and try out your hand at embroidery. This is an American sampler, and they point out that, and the ease of stitching, by the way, is a 5, which is what I felt like as I examined the project. You stitch over 1, you stitch over 2 as well. So all kinds of stitches mixed throughout. And they say that, you know, early samplers were often stitched with silk. So they've given you one of the brands that makes silk floss, what floss numbers you need if you want to stitch it out of silk. I wanted you to be able to see some of the details up close of the design. Here they show some of the stitches that you would use. And if you're familiar with embroidery, this might not be too difficult for you. If you're mostly just a cross stitcher, it's kind of a large project, so that's the other reason it rates a 5, because you're not just doing a little bit of each stitch, but there's a lot of it. It's pretty complicated, and it's really lovely. So if you make it, I think it's something to proudly display. I wouldn't give it to someone because I don't think it would be possible for anyone to appreciate it as much as I did, no matter what. And sometimes people might feel bad when they give their project that they make to someone who doesn't appreciate it, and that's maybe why I haven't. I have given some away, like to my mother. She'll see that when I go through my finished things that I haven't finished them, and she'll say, "Can I have it?" Well, yes, you can have it. You will appreciate it. You're my mother, but I hold on to a lot of it, thinking unappreciated by others is just as well in my box of non-displayed projects that I enjoyed making, and it feels bad. And then it doesn't get displayed. I should finish them and display them and enjoy them myself. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is an article they have called Stamp and Stitch. I don't know if people still do this, where you could use your rubber stamps to stamp the fabric and then just stitch part of it. You would count out what you needed to stitch, obviously. And I guess this is nice for the person who wants to cross stitch a teeny bit. And that's about how much they want to cross stitch or how much they have time for. Because I would want the whole design. Like, I wouldn't want to be expected to go and find the rest of the design. I'd be like, you're going to give me the words. You're not going to chart out for me the whole design. I paid for the magazine. Give me the whole design. I don't want to go find and buy rubber stamps. But it's a nice way to use up your rubber stamps if you enjoy stamping and want to stamp on fabric. Oh, we need to do this other side. I think I just prefer rubber stamps for other materials, but then you can cross stitch on paper, so go figure. And then the design they included with that is checkered pink. They give a project tip about keeping fabric clean in a hoop. It's one of the reasons to not stitch in a hoop. It's one of the main reasons, besides creases, that people don't stitch in hoops. But it is certainly nice. When I was a beginner, I definitely stitched in a hoop. I like to stitch in hand a lot of the time now. I'm not opposed to it. Like some people would never stitch in a hoop. Sometimes it's nice. I like the very reason people like stitching in a hoop. I like the nice tight feeling of the fabric. It makes it really easy to go in and out of the fabric. I was debating whether to show you this, but I'm gonna show it to you because of it using a special product called DMC Memory Floss, which is the black floss outlining the Christmas tree, and them saying that it uses a technique called couching, which is from kind of a fancier type of embroidery, but you need to take a thinner thread or floss to couch this memory floss because it's too thick to fit in the holes. So it has to just be laid on top of the fabric and then you sew it on. And they have a place over here, besides giving you the instructions, they just say the difficulty level is a 2, so it's not hard to do that. They show the couching. Or they show how to do it. And that's basically, except for the, just things like needlework shops and advertising magazines. Here they had this Rosamond's Bridge that I think that's the one that is. Well, anyway, it's a covered bridge. So if you find the issue that has that, you can pick that up at your thrift store or yard sale. Since you can't buy, they're not being published anymore. Buy it on eBay. That's the way that you can find cross stitch and needlework now. A used bookstore. I would love to hear what you have to say about the magazine Cross Stitch and Needlework or Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, any experience you have with any of the techniques in these 2 issues of the magazine with cross stitching in general, collecting cross stitch magazines or vintage designs, anything that you want to tell me related to anything we've talked about today.